Welcome to the ROTC Scholarship Podcast, hosted by former Army ROTC Professor of Military Science, Lieutenant Colonel Retired Rob Kirkland. In these episodes, we explore how to best prepare yourself to obtain one of these valuable scholarships for those applicants who wish to attend a college or university and become officers in the military. The application process can be complex and confusing. This podcast works to make it more understandable. And now, the ROTC Scholarship Podcast. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast here today. Purpose here today is to talk to you about athlete and leader activities that can enhance your probability of obtaining an ROTC scholarship. Now, there's an acronym in Army ROTC called the SAL, which is Scholar, Athlete, Leader. And I think it's a good way to kind of look at how someone is awarded a scholarship. And this would apply also for Air Force ROTC as well as Navy and Navy Marine Corps. So the scholar is, obviously your college board scores, your SAT or ACT scores, your coursework and the rigor of that, and your grades. Today, we will not be concentrating on this portion here. The goal today is to look at the last two pieces of this, the athlete and leader characteristics, and how to enhance your profile for ROTC based on this. And this is really, based again on my experience, having sat in Army ROTC board, but also in working with ROTC candidates over the last 5 years, where they had a myriad of different types of athletic and leadership activities. And I just wanted to kind of go through some to kind of give you an idea of kind of which ones make more of an impact on the ROTC selection process based on my experience. Now, come to realize that when a person gets selected for one of these scholarships, they usually go in front of a board, and these board members are made up of usually senior officers from that service, and they're people just like you and I who see many different candidates and see the different activities and athletics that they do. So clearly things that are more familiar to, these individuals are going to be ones that are probably going to make a greater impact on them. And I'll try to get into that later, regarding kind of, trying to kind of develop activities that may be more familiar to people on these boards in order to be able to kind of get you more notice and more ability to obtain one of these scholarships. So first of all, let me kind of talk about athlete first. I think the number one thing for the athlete is really varsity athletics, and that's high school varsity athletics, and usually getting at least 2 varsity letters. So that's kind of the gold standard for measurement of for athletics. And obviously, in order to be able to kind of make the varsity team in many high schools, you've got to start out early, usually your freshman or sophomore year, and working up to junior varsity, building up your athletic skill set, so that once you become a junior or senior, particularly in your junior year, that you get on that varsity team, so that you can have those varsity letters by the time you compete on the board in the fall of your senior year. So I think the takeaway is to get started early on these athletic skills in whatever you choose, in order to become kind of a better athlete by the time that you're a senior. I think if you are kind of listening to this later and you haven't participated in varsity sports, then you should try to probably participate in sports that require a kind of very low kind of skill set. So things such as cross country or track if you can build up your running skills over, say, a summer or a couple summers, you can then get that junior varsity up to a varsity letter and not necessarily have developed, say motor skills such as, baseball or basketball or things like that. So you just have to determine what your time horizon is so that, you can kind of get those varsity letters by the time you're ready to be looked at by the time you're a senior. I would say also that, as you are looking at this and your sports, I think, you need to look at supplementing your varsity sports or whatever sports you've chosen for your high school with other fitness in order to do well on the physical fitness test that the ROTC is going to give you. So, for example, if you're a football lineman who's used to kind of, just not running any distance or not having done a lot of sit-ups, then you're probably going to want to, work on your long distance running, to work on your ability to be able to do push-ups or sit-ups, your own body weight. So you're going to want to work on that. If you're a cross-country runner, obviously you're not going to have a problem with running in these tests that ROTC gives you. Most of our ROTC tests consists of usually about a minute or two of push-ups, a minute or two of sit-ups, and a 1 to 1.5 mile run. So obviously, for a cross-country runner, you're not going to have a lot of problems with running, but you may lack an upper body strength or maybe your core strength. So you're going to want to work on those types of skills or those types of activities in the run up to the athletic tests that you're going to be doing to get to be considered for ROTC. Another point about the athlete piece is, is there maybe some advantage to being a varsity athlete and maybe particularly if you're a male in a contact sport such as wrestling, football, things like that, or a sport that's highly competitive, such as say football or basketball or something like that. It just tends to stand out a little more, and I think just my impression, those candidates who compete who have varsity letters in sports that are clearly more competitive tend to stand out more than those maybe in say less competitive sports in their high school. And then, of course, in fact, when we look at leadership, I mean, we're looking at, becoming a captain. So, so when you become a senior, becoming a captain of your sports team can be definitely be a positive because that is both the athlete piece of this as well as the leadership piece of it. And then I think, doubly beneficial is actually being a captain of what we would call a popular or competitive sport in a high school, such as football, basketball, softball, things like that. So this is not just for ROTC, but for the service academies also tend to put a premium on those that have built up and have got varsity letters in these kind of competitive sports, but also have been considered to be the captain of these competitive sports. So service academies in particular put additional weight on that, but I also believe that ROTCs, when they see you designated as a captain of a significant sport in a high school, certainly put more weight on that. So I think that is kind of a signal to look at those kind of sports as perhaps giving a leg up to perhaps less competitive sports in high school. Moving on from athlete, I just want to talk about kind of leadership and leadership activities. It's important to participate in activities that enhance your leadership profile. And oftentimes you're going to need to start early in order to build this leadership profile. And you want to try to participate in known activities so that it's familiar to board members. For example, Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts is an example of a well-known activity that where you have to spend a significant amount of time in order to get the award, whether it's a gold award or the Eagle Scout. So those are the kind of things that I think stand out as far as activities where you accomplish something significant. So the other thing that we might talk about is military related activities. In other words, showing military propensity. So there's such organizations such as Civil Air Patrol that I've talked about in the past on this podcast, Young Marines, Junior ROTC, that's in some high schools, Sea Cadets. All of these kind of show a propensity to serve, a propensity for military service, and in particular, working to kind of obtain a higher rank in these organizations can be beneficial, and it shows that you are progressing in these organizations and have achieved something. So, for example, with Civil Air Patrol, oftentimes getting the Billy Mitchell Award or the Amelia Earhart Award can show kind of progression in the organization. Getting the Spats Award for Civil Air Patrol is similar or even higher than, say, obtaining the Eagle Scout Award in Boy Scouts. So again, going to known activities are familiar to board members, such as scouting, military propensity, Civil Air Patrol, Junior ROTC, Young Marines, Sea Cadets. Another, I think, key activity, I think that certainly ranks up there with things like Boy Scouts and the military related activities, is kind of school elected offices. So I think what this shows to the board is it shows leadership as demonstrated by direct election by the peers. So, you can be a person, not necessarily that's a respected person in your high school, and achieve things with outside of your school, such as being an Eagle Scout or advancing within, say a Civil Air Patrol or something like that, but actually being elected, say, as president of your high school class or as some other office in your high school where you're directly elected from your peers, shows that you have leadership and it's being recognized by other students in your school. So, anything that you can do, I think, to kind of demonstrate this ability to be able to be elected by others, to lead your classmates and show that you are respected, I think can really stand out as far as activities go. There's also things like other highly selective accomplishments as far as activities go. So ones that not everybody is able to obtain that demonstrate your abilities. For example, boys state or girls state, and being elected as a representative from your school of your region is highly valued both by ROTC and service academies. Being selected to National Honor Society shows your leadership as well as your academic accomplishments. This requires your teachers or administrators to select you over another person or select you over other students. It shows that you sort of made that cut line in order to be able to be recognized in such a way. Also, I would say that another, I think, important area that's sometimes often overlooked is outside paid work. So I think that's in my mind, very important for candidates. Basically, because it shows that you're taking responsibility in the real world. It's one also where if you are actually doing paid outside work, that shows leadership, where you're, say, an assistant manager or a manager, or somebody who's actually working with others. I've had candidates that I've worked with that, say, are managers of a department store or as a 17 or 18-year-old and are actually in charge of adults in their 20s and 30s. To me, I mean, that shows your ability to go out into the real world and learn things and to take charge and to do something that is tangible and something where you're getting your hands dirty. I think is more valued, I think, by ROTC than, say, going on some sort of trip to feed the children in Africa or to, do some sort of something else, kind of more exotic. I would say that, the more that you have the ability to be able to show that you're going out and doing something that is leading others in a real environment, because that's what you're really going to do as a military officer. I mean, you're going to be leading others and you're going to be doing kind of real world things. So the more that you can kind of demonstrate that through, paid work, volunteer activities and things like that, I think can be very, very useful, of course, into increasing your profile as far as being looked at by Army ROTC for a scholarship. I would say that what you're going to see in many of these applications is a comment section or a resume section of ROTC applications to explain these kind of accomplishments that you've done, whether athletic accomplishments or leadership accomplishments. So if there's something on your application that maybe is noteworthy, but may not be known by people on the board, because I know there's a lot of activities out there that really aren't really that known by maybe by the committee, then you need to be able to show the people who are sitting this board what that accomplishment is and why it's important and what you did to accomplish that. And there's oftentimes these kind of comment sections on these applications that can kind of flesh that out better for a candidate. If you say accomplished the Eagle Scout, you should describe your Eagle Scout project and what you did to accomplish that. If you're a Girl State selectee, what did it take to accomplish that, to be selected? How competitive was it to be that Girl State selectee? If you're a National Honor Society, how tough is your school? How academically competitive is it? Why is it important to that you were a National Honor Society selectee and things like that? So what you need to do is you need to be able to kind of show that, and in these kind of comment sections in many of these applications, you'll be able to bring that out, and certainly also you'll also be able to talk about that in your interview. Also, particularly if you're doing activities that may not be known very well. Or ones, where you got something significant done, but it just needs to be described perhaps a little bit more than just on an activity sheet. So hopefully that was this episode today was helpful to you in regards to kind of the way that ROTC looks at both the athlete and the leadership activities. So I think, really one of the key takeaways, I think, from this is that you've got to really get started early with a lot of these things in order to, build up your skill set to get that varsity letter by the time you're a junior or senior. You need to build up your skill set early and keep active. Looking at at leadership, oftentimes with things like scouting, some military organizations and other types of organizations, you have to spend multiple years kind of preparing for kind of the greater accomplishments in the organization. So the earlier that you can get started on the athletic and leadership activities, the better. But there are ways, though, to make up for that if you decide to kind of get more involved as maybe a sophomore or junior in order to build that profile by the time you're a senior in and being considered for these scholarships. So that's really it for today. I'm hopefully it was, again, like I said, hopefully it was helpful to you, and let me know what you think of the podcast by giving a rating on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. So with that, I wish you the best, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks for listening to the ROTC Scholarship Podcast. If you like what we're doing, please leave a quick review. If you have any questions or want more information about ROTC or our consulting services, please visit our website at rotcconsulting.com. Take care, and we'll see you next time.